What's going on, guys? So, I gotta admit to you guys, man, I have not been keeping up on this whatsoever. Um, hmm. So here's what I'm gonna do for this video. Instead of talking about every single game in depth and whatnot, I'm just gonna paraphrase a little bit, almost like the Cliff Notes version of our last week. My life has been pretty damn hectic. Since softball started, I'm in 2 leagues. I play on Tuesday nights, so I only get to catch bits and pieces of the Tigers game on Tuesdays, and then Wednesdays and whatnot. Sometimes it's a day game, so it's hard to listen to the game while I'm at work. And then Thursdays is always a day game for the most part, so it's hard to listen to the game at work. So I catch bits and pieces of that. And then Friday nights, I play softball sometimes as late as almost 10 o'clock, and I play a doubleheader. So, I get to watch most of the game, but, if it's earlier start, I only get to catch bits and pieces of it. And then Saturdays, if it's a day game, it's hard to catch all of it because I'm at work. And then Sunday, if it's a day game, basically right now, when I first started this channel 3 years ago, I didn't have a job. I was, coming to the end of my school career, in college. I got to watch every single game from every single pitch. Now, not that I don't feel confident enough that I haven't watched enough games at this point to really still give you guys the best videos I feel I'm possible that I can make for you guys. Because even if I don't watch the entire game, I still watch quick pitch, whatnot, and I still keep up with statistics that are going on to still keep up with the team and whatnot. I'm still up with the team. I'm just not every pitch, every single inning at this point in my life anymore like I was able to, and being able to keep up with the entire league like I try to do, because when we do baseball banter, which we didn't do this week because there was nothing really going on this week. I mean, there was that big play with the Ortiz. Was it a hit or an error? Sabathia is going to visit Dr. James Andrews for his knee. That was really about it. So we didn't do baseball banter this week. So I'm not going to, like I said, I'm going to just do catching up, talk about what I've been seeing, what I've been liking so far, and the success so far this team has had. But, if I start missing weeks here for doing videos consistently, it is what it is, guys. I mean, this is getting a little bit harder for me to do. There's only really a couple days a week now at this point in my life where I have time to sit down and watch an entire Tigers game. Most of the time, it's inning here, inning there, maybe listen to about four innings of the 9, so life happens, gents. So let's get into it. Basically, the Tigers, man, I have been really, really impressed from what I have been seeing. This team's offense has, it's not relying on the 3-run homer anymore, even though Victor Martinez has had 4 home runs in his last 6 games. I mean, the guy has been absolutely on fire. Miguel Cabrera, he had a couple of home runs on the homestand and whatnot. I actually went to the game on Wednesday of last week when Ricky P started, and Miggy had an Oppo Taco shot, which gave it that was en route to giving the Tigers an 8-game winning streak. And Miggy has looked a lot better. This Tigers pitching staff right now is absolutely outstanding. You have checking the league ranks. Now, mind you, this ERA right now is all bundled up with that bullpen's ERA. So keep in mind, the Tigers have the worst bullpen ERA in baseball at the moment. But even with the worst bullpen ERA, the Tigers' staff ERA, bullpen included, is 3.43. They have 22 quality starts. They're 6th in WHIP, 7th in batting average. And then this team, they're not the team that hits the 3-run homer anymore, and they have been winning a lot of close games. They're 8th in the league in runs, 2nd in batting average, 5th in on base, 4th per slugging percentage. And then you look at their lineup, they got 5 guys hitting over 300, and one of them is not even Miguel Cabrera. That is how balanced this lineup is. Rajah Davis has absolutely done an outstanding job at this point, in the lineup. When Andy Dirks went down, there was a lot of uncertainty in my mind. How is this lineup going to function without a guy that can come in there and face righties? Because Davis, throughout his career, has been pretty abysmal against righties. Davis is hitting. He has come down a little bit back to earth. He is hitting 303 on the year, and he was hitting a lot higher. But at the current clip he's hitting right-handers right now, he's not going to be able to keep up, simply for the fact that eventually everything does level out, and he's going to eventually show his true self against right-handers. But for the Tigers coming into this year, short Andy Dirks, a guy they needed against their complete platoon for, uh, to face against righties while Davis faces lefties. He's done an outstanding job. I mean, they really haven't had to do much. I know J.D. Martinez has been up, but he really hasn't saw that much playing time. Davis has done a great job. And Avila, he is only hitting 220-something on a year, but his on-base percentage is well over league average at 344, so he's looked a lot better. Cabrera's swing has looked a lot better as of late. He's got a couple opposite field home runs. The power stroke still really isn't there. I mean, he's only got 5 homers, but he's got close to 30 RBIs, so he's been really driving runs. He's hitting, I think, like almost 400 over his last 12 games or something like that. It's great. Kinsler, he tapered off a little bit there for a minute or two, but over the last week or so, he's really brought it back up. He's currently back over the 300 mark, posting career norms in on-base percentage of 340. I believe his career on-base percentage is like 347. He isn't drawing as many walks as he has been in years past, but I'm okay with it. He isn't striking out hardly at all, hitting over 300, getting on base at a good clip. Comerica Park, he was on a bit of a power tear in the early goings of the year. He had a couple home runs in the first week. He had a home run the other day against Minnesota. And, he's looked, so the power stroke, which I wasn't expecting to be there, it's fine in 3 home runs, but, he's got 9 doubles on the year already, so that's looking good. And then Andrew Romine, not hitting for crap, but he's done more than an adequate job at shortstop thus far. You can't really complain about that considering you're coming to the year minus Jose Iglesias. Alex Gonzalez was a failed experiment for sure. Romine's come in, pretty much done the job, stepped up, and he's not hitting great, but he's playing more than adequate defense. You still got Danny Worth to sprinkle in every once in a while, and he's not doing too bad of a job. Castellanos, he's still a bit of a project thus far. He's played some pretty good third, I think a lot better than people expected him to do. I expected him to play a pretty good third base. I never thought of him as a Gold Glover, but he's definitely been better than Cabrera. He made a really nice play robbing Trevor Plouffe the other day when we were playing Minnesota. I mean, he jumped up and used all 6'3" foot of his frame to rob him of a for sure hit that would have scored a couple of runs. And, you look at Jackson, absolutely, like I said, I wanted him lower in the lineup, and he's looked absolutely outstanding thus far down there, lower in the lineup. He's done a great job. He isn't striking out nearly as much. He's hitting what right now? He's hitting 301, 371 on base percentage, so he's looked absolutely outstanding. Slugging 460 and OPS 831, so he's done great. Torrey Hunter, from a hitting standpoint, the man has been awesome. He's got a slash of 305, 331, 475 right now. Outstanding slash with 4 homers and 20 RBIs. He suffered a little bit of a setback there when he ran into that wall in L.A., but, he's been on a torrid pace, and like I said, you can't, I think right now you could make an argument for Victor Martinez is probably one of the best pure hitters in baseball right now. The fact that this guy has got 6 strikeouts, he's got more home runs than strikeouts right now. That is how good Victor Martinez has been. He's been great every year he's been here in Detroit, even though he had that injury year. This year, his patience at the plate, he's never been a guy that struck out much in his career. But his ability to work out at bats, to grind down pitchers. I mean, when I was at the Astros game with my buddy, I was saying, it was an 0-2 count. I'm like, watch him work this back to 3-2 and get a pitch to hit. He ended up working it back to 2-2 and got a pitch and singled after he was down 0-2. I mean, the man does not take bad swings. He grinds out at bats. He's just been barreling up everything, and the power has just been there at a pace we've never saw while he's in a Tigers uniform. I think the most he ever hit was 25, and that was with Cleveland one year. So, he's looked absolutely outstanding, and you look at the rotation. I mean, what more can you say? Porcello has pitched as good as I thought he would pitch this year. I made in my Tigers preview video for this upcoming season, I made a thing. I was like, this is a make-or-break year for Porcello. I mean, he's got a good second baseman. I was expecting Iglesias, but so far Romine has been better defensively than Peralta has. You're getting a better third baseman there, even though Castellanos than Cabrera was, so that's really worked out. Then you're getting a better first baseman than Fielder with Cabrera going back over on the other side of the diamond. And so far he's looked absolutely outstanding. Sanchez got hurt, and Robbie Ray has made 2 outstanding starts, and I think under 12 innings he's only allowed 1 earned run in 12 innings. I really liked what I saw from his repertoire. I watched one of his starts, the other start I listened to. Just a real nice, easy release. I like the motion. Everything just comes out of his hand nice and easy. A good 91, 92, good locations. Got a nice curveball. I like what I saw from him so far. Am I still mad at the Doug Fister trade? Yeah, of course I am. I mean, this is still too early to tell how good Ray's going to be and whatnot. But I like what I saw from him. He's done a great job filling in for Anibal Sanchez, and it looks like, there's a little bit of uncertainty. What do? You put him in the bullpen, or you send him down to Toledo. If I'm if I'm the Tigers, I'm sending him down to Toledo because I want this guy to get a start every fifth day. I want him stretching out his arm. I want him going 5 to 7 innings every single fifth day to get used to it. I know they put Smiley in the bullpen, when he lost his job before several out of spring training last year and whatnot, and that worked out great. But this is a kid they foresee as a starter for a long time in this rotation. And, say next year Ricky P walks in his free agent year, you got another lefty to come up here and pop in your rotation. So, I guarantee you he'll be back up. So the Tigers got a great problem to deal with. You got too many good starters. And then you look at Drew Smiley, he's done pretty good so far since getting put back in rotation. And Verlander's absolutely, Verlander, his whip is really high this year. He's allowed a lot more hits. And I think this trend that we saw last year with a lot of base runners, a lot of walks last year, that kind of wasn't flukish. I think, Verlander's command hasn't been as good as it has been years past over the last 2 seasons, but he's just been getting it done. He's been making big pitches. He's looked outstanding. And Max Scherzer, is looking like a genius so far, not taking that 6 and 144 because he's pitched absolutely dominating. Then we move on to the bullpen. It's kind of settled itself out some. I know Jabba Chamberlain absolutely cruel, and Jabba Chamberlain didn't look the greatest the other day against that game against the Twins because we were actually leading up 3. And some of that has to do with Rajai Davis taking a bad route on that ball. It's allowed to get past him, like the same way when we were in L.A. when the Dodgers walked off against us. Rajai Davis is a terrible outfielder. And I saw, so far watching him, he's been okay in left, but he's made a lot of bad plays out there so far. And luckily, he's so fast that his speed has really allowed him to be better than he actually is because how fast he is. Because he's not a good route runner when it comes to catching fly balls. And Torrey Hunter's been the same this year. Torrey Hunter, I remember watching him back in his prime. That guy took such the cleanest routes to the ball. Every time a ball was in there, he was going to catch it. This year, every time there's a fly ball head out to Torrey Hunter, you just get a bit of a knot in your stomach because, I've saw him drop balls there. Little league pop-ups. He's taking really bad routes to the ball. He's also a little bit more speed. So there's a little bit of uncertainty there on the corners and whatnot with the defense. But it's a good. This team is playing really well. 21-12, I think we are right now. We're sitting at the top of the division. We got a 4.5 game lead right now. Let me go check. 5-game lead. The rest of the division, we're leaving in the back mirror. Chicago, you knew they weren't going to stay legit. Right now, they're minus Chris Sale. Jose Abreu wasn't going to out-homer every single team to allow the White Sox to keep winning, even though they are a game under 500. Kansas City Royals, Mike Moustakas has been so bad. That team's pitching hasn't been atrociously awful. The rotation and whatnot. But they can't hit. They can't hit home runs. They got no production whatsoever really coming out of there. The bullpen's so good, but they're not scoring any runs, and that offense is so power depleted. And then you look at the Cleveland Indians. They were my team this year that I kept harping on the whole offseason. They were the most overrated team of last season. They had regression stapled all over that team with the way that Kazmir was in the second half, the way Baldo Meadows was in the second half. There was no way losing those 2 pitchers and replacing with who we have, because let's face it, Danny Salazar hasn't been nearly like he was last year. Masterson's up and down. Tomlin is in. And then you look at that bullpen, which isn't that good, and then the offense is really inconsistent. This team had regression written all over it. Because you look at last year how good they were because of the fact that Ubaldo was great in the second half, Salazar was awesome, Kazmir was awesome, Rayburn had a really solid year for them guys out there last year. They're minus Jason Kipnis right now, who was their best player last year. Carlos Santana hasn't gotten off to a great start. So, they don't surprise them if they're off to a bad start as they are. And then Minnesota, you have the worst starters ERA in baseball. You really expect to win, So looking back at this last week or so, the Tigers took 3 or 4 from Houston. Dropped the last game and it was a good game. The last game, I forget. Matt Dominguez had an absolute monster shot in this game. He hit a ball like I'm surprised Davis even moved for it, even gave it a courtesy look because it was crushed. And they lost that game 6-2. And then they dropped the first game in Minnesota. Minnesota came in for some reason. Phil Hughes just kicks our ass. I don't know what it is. Phil Hughes, for God's sakes. His only complete game he's ever had was against the Tigers. That was like 2 years ago when he was still a Yankee. When he was at his absolute worst, he was like going through a terrible stretch, and he has a complete game like 4-hitter with 1 earned run. I don't get what it is. Why Phil Hughes all of a sudden has been dominating us, and he outpitched Verlander. and I actually watched most of this game because I had a late game on Tuesday, 9 o'clock, so the game was almost over. And, Verlander just a victim of some bad luck. I mean, he got so close to getting out of that situation, and then that single happened, which allowed those 2 earned runs and whatnot. I mean, he pitched a great game, but Phil Hughes pitched just as good, And then you look at Max Scherzer came out and pitched absolutely outstanding, and the Tigers really lit up Kyle Gibson. That was a great game. I actually watched all of that game. And then Sunday, I caught bits and pieces of this game where the Tigers, they were up 3-0. Ian Kinsler had a home run this game, and then Cabrera had 2 RBIs as well. Or no, Cabrera had an RBI, Kinsler had a solo shot, and Austin Jackson had an RBI in this game. You actually got to listen to most of this game. And I guess Ian Kroll and Jabba Chamberlain weren't looking that great. And it was kind of funny because of the fact that, before Jabba Chamberlain came out, I was listening to the radio, obviously, and Dan Dickerson was talking about, it's been nice to have Jabba Chamberlain. He actually gives you an arm that you feel like you have some security with now because he's been so consistent. And that happens. The game gets blown. And, they ended up having to bring out Glenn Perkins because the Tigers made this close in the 8th. They had a runner on, the tying run and whatnot, but he ended up getting out of it and getting a 4-out save or whatnot. But, I'm not going to come on here and knock Chamberlain for what he's done. I was a big, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a huge fan of that Chamberlain signing, as by my video I made and how much I've harped on him. But you can't really talk too much crap about Jabba over his last 7 appearances. I mean, he's got, before this start, I don't know what his ERA is at now. I could check real quick. But coming into this appearance, I know for a fact his ERA was 3.35. Now it's at 4.30. But you look at this, though, I mean, he's only got how many innings? 15 innings right now. So, I mean, it's real easy for the ERA to fluctuate like that, go from 3.35 to 4.30 and whatnot. But, I mean, his last appearances, he gave up 2 earned runs his last time out, but before that, 0 in an inning, 0 in an inning and a third, 0 in an inning, 0 in an inning, 0 in an inning, 0 in 2/3 of an inning, and then 2 earned runs. So he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight appearances without giving up any earned runs, and in those 7 appearances, he had 1 walk, and let's see, he had 2, 5, 6, 8 strikeouts. So, I mean, you can't complain at the work this guy has done. So I'm kind of eating some crow here, giving some props to Jabba Chamberlain because he's looked really good. That fastball has been 95, 96 consistently. He's thrown a lot of sliders and curveballs. He hasn't really been relying on that fastball as much because he's really got the slider and curveball back, so he's looked a lot better, So it was one of those games that the Tigers definitely coughed up. They should have took 2 or 3 from the Twins. But right now, like I said, there's no complaints from me about this team. This is the best start they've gotten off to that I can remember since 2006. And this team is looking a lot like that 2006 team in my eyes. Really good starting pitching, even though I think this starting pitching is a lot better than there was in 2006. Because you look at 2006, Bondo, Nate Robertson, Justin Verlander, Kenny Rogers. I think Zach Miner was in that rotation for a little bit too. There was a lot of youngsters. Verlander was a rookie. Bonderman was only in the league a couple of years. Rogers was kind of the stalwart veteran of the staff. Look at this. You got Cy Young winner and Max Scherzer, who's pitching absolutely brilliant so far. You got Justin Verlander, who's pitching absolutely brilliant so far. Rick Porcello is living up to Porcello, that I knew he was going to be this year. Drew Smiley's looked great. Robbie Ray did good filling in. Anibal Sanchez, he really hasn't been the Anibal Sanchez the last year when he led the AL in ERA. But, who knows how bad this injury sets him back, but it's nice to know you got that wild card back there in Ray if you really need a guy, any more starters, misses any more time because you got this nice kid down in the minors that's going to come up and give you quality innings. So that's been really nice so far to this point. So we move on. Ricky P's coming out again. He's looking for, I think, his 5th or 4th straight win against Baltimore. Baltimore right now is currently leading in the American League East. They played some pretty nice baseball. They just got Chris Davis back. And this is kind of what I hate about fantasy baseball. I got Chris Davis on my fantasy team. I finally got to put him back in. And, it's like I want the Tigers to win, but I want to win in my fantasy. So every time, Chris Davis, does good, it's like, damn it, it hurts the Tigers. So what I need the Tigers to do is I need them to get up by 10 tonight. Porcello pitched 7, and then Chris Davis have a garbage time grand slam off of like Evan Reed or something. That's what I'm hoping for. But Ricky P, I mean, this year, quick look at his numbers. He actually has the lowest whip on the Tiger staff. He's got a 3.49 ERA, 5-1, 27 strikeouts in how many innings? 38 2/3 innings. So I mean, he's looked really great. He's done some good work. And then the second game of the series is Drew Smiley against Ubaldo Jimenez, who has been pretty shit this year for the Orioles. I mean, I was a big naysayer on that Jimenez to the Orioles thing. You got a guy that is inconsistent, gives up a lot of home runs, and now you're putting me in a park that yields more home runs than Progressive Field does. That's not a great fit in my opinion. And then JV up against Wei Yin Chen to end that quick 3-game set. And then they move on to Boston to start a 3-game set on Friday. I will be back. What I'm going to do is instead of doing This Week in Tigers baseball, I'll do a series preview, series thoughts video for Baltimore and Boston on Friday because I don't have to work this Friday like I did last Friday. That's why this video is late. And Baseball Banter will return this week. So, like I said, guys, I got a lot of things going on in my life right now, a lot of work and whatnot. You know, a lot of other extracurricular activities I got going on after work. You know, softball, going to the gym, and whatnot. So, you know, still trying to make the best quality videos for you guys you can. I'm still following the Tigers to the T, you know, still trying to find out every little thing I can when I don't get to watch every game for every inning, every single pitch like I used to be able to. You know, still trying to keep up with it and whatnot so I can provide you guys the best quality videos because I pride myself on here for being, you know, really the only Tigers guy on YouTube. I want, you know, people to come on here and be like, hey, something happened for the Tigers. I want to hear this kid's opinion on it. You know, so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to provide good videos for you guys and whatnot and try to give you the best information, the best insight I possibly can. And, you know, it sucks I can't watch the team every inning like I could in years prior, but I'm still watching enough. I'm still keeping up, you know, with the best I can and whatnot and knowing what's going on. So, like I said, next video will be Baltimore series thoughts, Red Sox series preview. So have a good one, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Baseball Banter will be back next Friday or next Saturday night. So have a good one, guys.